Hey everybody, this is Frank Data Di Lorenzo. Welcome to another edition of QuickLaunch Live. Today we're going to talk a bit about the value of a single data model with all of your dimensions and measures contained in one, that blue cube we've been talking about. And we're really starting to tie some concepts together from prior sessions. We talked about security and governance. We talked about best practices for visualizing data. We've spoken about how to use Excel with a data model. So hopefully this is starting to tie some ideas and thoughts together. Remember, please, we love questions. If you use the comments, we'll try to address every question we see there. Put a 1 if you're with us live. Love to know that. Put a 2 if you've watched this after the fact. And put a 3 if you've watched it after the fact and you'd like to engage in further conversation. Keep in mind these quick launch live sessions are 15 minutes long. We cannot cover anything in depth, but hopefully give you some food for thought, some ideas to consider, and some topics that you might want to speak about further. So just go ahead and reach out. So let's get to it today. The value of a single data model and what that means. And we'll use Power BI in this example today. Hello, LinkedIn user. Good to see you. LinkedIn user two. Welcome. All right, let's see if we can share a screen here. Perfect. Okay. So the advantages. Oh, and if someone could tell me, hey, Joel, good morning. Can you hear me and see me well? I had an audio hiccup last week. Don't want to repeat that. Anybody just want to put a yes out there? That'd be awesome. I'm going to assume you can hear me. Otherwise, I'd be getting yelled at by several different mediums. Okay. So let's jump into this and see what the idea of a single model, what the value can bring to an organization. So first, some examples, some analogies. What does your golf score and Power BI data sets have in common? Now, I think it is that you want a lower number as low as possible, right? If we look here, this is representing several ERP modules like general ledger, accounts payable, AR, and so forth, sales. And in this case, every GL report, financial statement, visualization that's created creates its own separate data set. So for every module, if I write multiple reports, which most of us will do, thank you, LinkedIn user. You can all hear me. That's a good thing. You're creating a separate cube, if you will, to have to manage. And if each one of these, if in GL I've got 3 reports, i.e., 3 data sets that have calculations of measures in them, and I want to alter that, chances are I can open up each one, make my changes, make sure it's up to date with security for the menus, propagate that on out. So we can do better. Well, up next, this is one my doctor says I should probably pay more attention to. What does your cholesterol level and Power BI data sets have in common? Well, again, I think that is, I know this one. You definitely want a lower number, as low as possible. And in this case, we've optimized a bit more in terms of our process. We've got one cube, one data model per module now. So for GL, sales, in this case, job costs, maybe contract billing, equipment asset management, I have one data set that I need to manage, but now I still have 1 times XX modules, could be 15 or more. So I'm headed in the right direction, but we can do better. Finally, what does your stress level and Power BI data sets have in common? I think the answer is starting to become pretty clear. Less is more. You want your number to be as low as possible. Now, in this example, all the modules are living in one combined, all the perspectives in one data cube, represented by the blue cube. If we take a look here, hopefully this helps spell it out a little further. So here's my dimensions, all my facts that I'm breaking this down by, all my modules. So there's AR, GL, sales, like we've just talked about. All the different measures. One that's not for the faint of heart, for example, is writing the measures to do as of agings. If anybody out there has tried that, Excel, Crystal, or otherwise, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Last 12 months, rolling, month date, quarter date, year to date. And then measures like calculating revenue, gross profit, on time, um, inventory fulfillments, I believe, OTIF. So, point is, though, the power of one. When I have one cube, I'm managing one library of my data. Now, that extends out to what we spoke about a few weeks ago. I'm securing and governing one cube, one area for all my corporate data. And keep in mind, these cubes, these modules are all coming from my ERP, but they could just as easily be coming from a separate data source like my CRM, estimating, project management, and the like. Do I see a question out there? No, not yet. Okay. So let's keep rolling. So that's an example visually of what I mean by one data model. Now let's see what that allows me to do. Keep in mind, I am not on the IT side of the house. I'm not an analyst nor report writer, but I do have self-service reporting needs. I like to be able to utilize the data that is helping me make better decisions in my role. So how can I do that? Well, here I've opened up Power BI, and you can see on the right, I've opened up from now, just full disclosure, I'm using a model that we've written for Viewpoint Vista. So this is job cost and contract. That's pretty good. I can start creating some reports. And if I float over something, you can see where that's coming from and how it may be combined in terms of, so for example, my details, there's a lot of measures coming from multiple tables within Vista. But again, what can I do with this? Well, let's have some fun. I'm going to go to my contract. And remember, we have meta tags and things like address field for mapping. We concatenate fields to make it easy. I can't think of a time I've written a report in Crystal where I've pulled just contract or job number without the name or vice versa. So having that concatenated, perfect sense. So let's pull that in. Let's pull that in. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. All right, we're off and running. Now I want to combine that or add to that some additional data. So I'm going to go to the details. I'm going to go to actual, and you see all the measures that are pre-written out of the box. So keep in mind, if I pull that measure into Power BI, paginated reports, or Excel, it's the exact same data because it's the same source. Power of one, well-governed data model. But let's keep going on this. So I'm going to take my build. I'm going to add my cost to date, something simple. And that is pretty cool. Now, if you remember my slides for a moment, that would be if I had just a data model for job cost, I can accomplish what you see here. What I'm about to add, fingers crossed it works well, is the power of having it all in one data model. So if I come over here and I want to say, please let me view the hidden. Now I've got a rich look at all the different data elements. Again, this is coming from Viewpoint Vista, so you see equipment, GL, job cost, service management, and there's more and more. But maybe, just maybe, in addition to this data, I want to come in to accounts payable, and I want to look at amounts, maybe my open current amount job to date, or just current open amount. So you can see all the different fields I have here. So I want to pull in open current amount. Now I can see it. And why is it working? Because of how the data cube is built to transform data coming from multiple modules or data sources into a cohesive singular data model that I can now use to write my reports. This would not be so easy if I were doing this just against the raw data. In fact, I don't know that I could easily do it, period. But doing it this way through the data model, I can now empower myself and my team to self-service my reporting needs. So let's say in addition to that, I want to come down and I want to add maybe my AR current open amount. I want to add my AR. There we go. Takes me a few clicks. And now I'm seeing that by contract, build, cost, open AR, AP. And if I want to now slice this by something, we'll just do a quick example. Actually, I wasn't going to do this, but I see I've got a few extra minutes, so what the heck. The additional capability here that I think is really robust is if I want to add a slicer, and you've probably seen me do this one before, but I think it's a good example. Overlaying all the data is a calendar in this case. So that's how I can pull all kinds of things like the as of aging, month to date, job to date, daily, weekly. So if I come to my fiscal calendar, I've got a lot of different options pre-built. Oh, and keep in mind, you can build your own. So if there's a measure, hourly, for example, I don't know if that would be a great one, but if the data is stored that way, you could create a measure or a slicer to pull it out that way. But for me, I just want to simply come down here and get the fiscal year and period. Now, I don't have to pull out two separate fields again because it makes sense. I want to be able to report on that. So that is pre-built. And then as you may have seen me do before, not sure, but I don't like those vertical buttons. If I do this on my mobile, it's hard to work with. So if I change it to horizontal, and now you can see, and I can do things like filter it to go back only 5 years, so I don't have to scroll. But this is demo data. Admittedly, it's pretty thin. But if I select a period, you will notice the data is changing. It is updating to that particular period. And how many formulas did I write out there, team? Anybody see? Zero. And how long did that take me to create? Minutes. And if I wasn't talking so much, I could have done that in much less time. And then you could do all the other cool things. I won't go into much of this. We talked about visualizations, but here's where I can start choosing how I might want to visualize this data or copy and paste this table and start visualizing. So I've got my table view and then I've got my visualization view. So very easy. And again, why? Because of the power of one data model. And if I just scroll here, and this is the same for us, we have these models pre-built, ready to go. So time to value, get you up and running, is pre-built just for information share here for JD Edwards, Viewpoint Vista, NetSuite, and Salesforce. But what I want you to really take away from an educational standpoint is the concept. If you're building something on your own, that is great. Just want to see you think about these things so you're going in the best path possible for your team and the end result is successful. So you kind of see the depth and the breadth of what I've got here, which allows me to pull in anything that I'm going to need. So that wraps it up. We're about a minute or two early. Again, Frank Data Lorenzo, Preferred Strategies. That's the first time I pointed to the right side on the camera. We're all about your data. We're here to help. If you want to talk about this further, just reach out. And if you watch this after the fact, again, put a 3 or just say call me. Anything that you might want to chat about, we're here for that. So thank you for being here with me today. Again, Frank Data Lorenzo, Quick Launch Live every Thursday, 15 minutes, 8 a.m. Look for more to come. Thank you for being here with us today. Have a great day. Bye now.